Heyo, I'm Woodroll, aka Mega Blitz. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Orthworm EX. And this deck is definitely quite interesting, and I feel like it has a pretty fun playstyle, and I really like to play this deck just kind of when I'm in the mood for it. This deck is just really fun to play, and it really punishes small single prize decks like Lost Box, Festival Lead, like the Diplin deck, United Wings, and other things like that. And I'm really excited to showcase this deck because I've been playing it kind of off and on for the last couple months, and I finally am deciding to make a video about it now. So let's jump right in to that deck list. Already here at that deck list, starting off with a star of the show, Orthworm EX. 220 HP, basic metal type Pokemon with its ability Pummeling Payback. If this Pokemon is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, even if this Pokemon is knocked out, you put 2 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon for each metal energy attached to this Pokemon. So if it's got 4 metal energy attached, Pummeling Payback is going to put 8 damage counters on that Pokemon. So on and so forth. It's kind of interesting how this deck actually works because it punishes our opponent from attacking. Plus, we're able to hit for 150 damage with that Rock Tomb attack for 4 colorless energy. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't retreat. So we can also kind of have like a stall type tactic going on as well with that Rock Tomb attack, pulling up maybe our opponent's Pidgeot EX against that Charizard Pidgeot matchup, and then just pull up the Pidgeot, 2-shot it, they can't retreat, and we're kind of going from there. But let's take a look at the rest of the deck here. The way we power up our Orthworm EX is going to be Metang with that Metal Maker ability. Once during your turn, you may look at the top 4 cards of your deck, attach any number of basic Metal Energy cards you find there to your Pokemon in any way you like, and then you shuffle the rest and put them on the bottom. So very similar to kind of like Electric Generator in that way. We're just looking at the top 4. We're going to put as many Metal Energy as we find there, and then to our Pokemon in any way we like, which is kind of nice because it actually doesn't have to go to metal type Pokemon like Electric Generator does for lightning type Pokemon. So it's pretty interesting because we can actually put the energy on like our Mew EX with that ability Restart. We're able to kind of draw until we have 3 cards in our hand, has that free retreat and that genome hacking attack as well. Choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks and use this attack as that attack. So pretty helpful in a pinch when we need it. But for our other just kind of draw engines on top of that Mew EX, we do have our Revavroom here with the ability Rumbling Engine. You must discard an energy card from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during a turn, you may draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. So discard an energy, draw until you have 6 cards in your hand is pretty powerful. And this is kind of what I'll end up using more so once rotation hits, because we do lose 2 specific cards in this deck, which are pretty important, and one of those is going to be that Radiant Greninja with the ability Conceal Cards. Discard an energy card from your hand, and then draw 2. So when Radiant Greninja rotates, we're probably just going to go up and maybe another Vroom into another Revavroom or something. But we also lose Zamazenta as a backup attacker here. Ability Metal Shield. This Pokemon has any energy attached. Takes 30 damage less from attacks. Retaliate for 2 metal and 1 colorless. 100 plus. If any of your Pokemon are knocked out during your opponent's last turn, this attack does 120 more damage. And then for our trainers here, we got 4 Arven, 3 Iono, 2 Penny, 2 Boss, 4 Ultra Ball, 3 Buddy-Buddy Poffin, 3 Nest Ball, 2 Super Rod, 1 Counter Catcher, 1 Night Stretcher, 2 Bravery Charm, 1 Heavy Baton, and then Survival Brace for the ace spec of choice. Survival Brace says that this Pokemon this card is attached to, it has full HP, and it will be knocked out by damage from an attack of our opponent's Pokemon. It would go to having its remaining HP actually be 10 instead, and then discard this. This is very helpful with that Orthworm EX's ability Pummeling Payback, because if it goes to one-shot the Pokemon, it has Survival Brace. Not only is that Pokemon going to take a good bit of damage on the way back with that Pummeling Payback, but also our Orthworm EX just lives, which is pretty nice. And then we can follow that up with Penny, pick it up, and kind of go from there. Then we got 13 Metal Energy, and then 2 copies of Full Metal Lab here. Metal-type Pokemon, both yours and your opponents take 30 less damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. This is pretty helpful as we're kind of trying to create like a kind of big Wall-E type Pokemon that's kind of punish our opponent from attacking into it, but also we're still able to attack with it and kind of win the game. So let's jump right in to that gameplay. Already here at that gameplay, at the coin flip, we do end up getting Tails, and we're going to elect to go first here. And the reason we want to go first is we want to be able to evolve our Beldums into Metangs, our Vroom into Revavroom, and kind of get our Orthworm and stuff set up. So starting off here, we're going to have an Orthworm EX in our active spot here. Starting off, opening hand not too bad. We got a Nest Ball here. So we can kind of get maybe our Radiant Greninja, draw some more cards, get a Varoom, and to be able to evolve into Revavroom and stuff like that. And it looks like we're playing against United Wings. Now, like I said, Orthworm EX really thrives in being able to deal with single prize decks, I feel like, because we're able to kind of punish them for attacking into our Orthworm. So if our Orthworm has 3 energy attached to it, this Watchroll will just get knocked out, right? So Nest Ball, Radiant Greninja, conceal cards, discard, draw 2, and then we just attach to our Orthworm EX and pass turn. So unfortunately, not a super great setup here from us, but not too big of a deal. United Wings takes a little bit to get up and rolling, and like I said, even if they end up knocking out the Orthworm, it'll still take damage from that Pummeling Payback, and we'll kind of be able to just help set up a little bit later on anyway. Our opponent here just going to Ultra Ball, discard some cards, get that Squawkabilly EX here. Gonna kind of maybe find another United Wings piece, maybe looking at that Flamigo to use that Insta Flock ability, which is exactly what they're gonna do. Put that onto the play, Insta Flock, getting 3 Flamigo out of their deck. Gonna be able to Squawk and Seize potentially. Actually, research first. Gonna be able to just research, get a nice fresh 7 cards, get the double turbo energy, capturing Aroma here. We're gonna hit head, so their chances are they're probably playing that new Dartrix and Rowlet potentially as well. We're not sure if they're playing the Rowlet though, as a lot of the decks don't play the Rowlet, they just play the Dartrix, the discard. So we'll have to see if they're playing that as well. Nest Ball getting that Ditto with that sudden transformation ability. Squawk and Seize, discard, getting some more pieces into the discard pile here for our opponent. And we're kind of in this interesting position now because they're definitely going to hit the Orthworm, but they're not going to knock anything out, I think. So they're just going to go, okay, Grant, discard 2 cards, put the Grant back into your hand, which actually later on at some point in the game, I have to read the card because I didn't know what it did. Post playing this matchup and playing this game, I now know what Grant does, but at the time I did not. So we're going to actually just Penny, pick up our Orthworm, put the Radiant Greninja, up in the active spot. If it gets KO'd, it's not too big of a deal. We'll rebench the Orthworm, conceal cards, get that Beldum here, and we're just going to have to save on that Orthworm. I didn't want it to get knocked out or anything. Just kind of waiting patiently. If they have Boss and they pull up the Orthworm and it doesn't get knocked out, that's fine. We have the Metang and a Revavroom both ready to evolve next turn. So our setup was pretty sloppy this game. This is probably one of the worst setups I feel like I've had actually playing this deck. I've had quite a bit of success with this deck, and it's set up playing those Nest Balls and the Buddy-Buddy Poffin, going, having Arven in the deck and stuff like that. So we'll have to see here. Attach the Dark Energy to the Ditto. Professor's Research. Hisui and Heavy Ball. Finding another Ditto. Gonna probably bench that second Ditto as well. Capturing Aroma here. Gonna be able to flip a coin. Tails. Gonna probably get themselves maybe a Murkrow, another Watchroll or something to be able to discard. We're gonna have to see. Maybe even a third Ditto. We're gonna see that Murkrow come out, unfortunately, here for us. Ultra Ball gonna discard 2 cards from their hand. Double Murkrow getting discarded here. So our opponent is really just starting to kind of start churning through the deck, right? This Radiant Greninja is more than dead, more than knocked out, 280 damage, and the reason is because also weakness, but even without that weakness, that Radiant Greninja was going down. So Orthworm EX here, gonna go full Metal Lab, evolve into the Metang, evolve into the Revavroom, and I'm like, all right, we got to get stuff set up here. So we're going to go Survival Brace and Buddy-Buddy Poffin. And a reason I grabbed Survival Brace here is because I'm worried that they might actually be able to one-shot the Orthworm if they can get more things in the discard pile. So we get 2 Beldums, we're going to Super Rod, and we're going to put everything back into the deck here. Didn't really want to use Super Rod that early, but I felt like I needed to. Metal Maker, attaching all those energies to our Orthworm. So even if our Orthworm does get knocked out, Survival Brace will save it. Plus, that Watchroll will actually get knocked out with that Pummeling Payback. Unless they play something crazy like Canceling Clone or something. But we're not too sure. We do see a Rowlet come down, which is kind of interesting here. So they do play the Rowlet to be able to evolve into the Dartrix to actually attack with it later on if they need to. I have seen some United Wings lists playing like maybe 1 or 2 Rowlet, but my United Wings list, I didn't play any Rowlet. I just kind of discard the Dartrix, and they're just kind of more Flamigo, Instaflock, just pitch them. And I just kind of attack with Murkrow, Dittos, and Watchrolls if I have to. So Pummeling Payback, they're only going to hit for 110 thanks to the Full Metal Lab, kind of helping out a lot there, saving that 30 more damage. We're going to take a prize card here, and that kind of helps skew the prize trade and kind of help us into these single prize matchups here, because they're going to get knocked out, right? When you play against Lost Box and that Cramorant goes to punch into you, if you have enough energy attached, it's going to get knocked out. United Wings, same concept. The Dipplin deck, something very similar, right? So we're going to have Iono here, just kind of get some more cards in our hand, disrupt the opponent a little bit. And I'm like, all right, Ultra Ball, discard the Varoom, discard an energy, grab ourselves another Metang here so we can start getting more Metal Makers rolling here. And we're going to actually use that Rumbling Engine, which I do have a little bit of misplay here. I Metal Maker first, not really realizing what I was doing. Because I was like, oh, I should have Rumbling Engine first. But then I was like, wait, I can put this on Orthworm. Because if I have 5 energy attached and Dartrix has 90 HP, we're going to be Pummeling Payback for 100. So then I can actually KO the Dartrix. So it kind of ended up working out a little bit. So Rumbling Engine here, discard the energy, draw 5, and I'm like, man, that's not really what we wanted. We wanted to hit maybe another Nest Ball so we can get another Orthworm set up and rolling here. I don't really want to have to commit an energy to like the Beldum or something like that to retreat. So we're just going to Rock Tomb for 150 here. Going to take another prize card, putting us at a 4-5 split, getting bosses off that prizes here. They're going to promote that Ditto, which I thought was kind of interesting. You could promote maybe the Dartrix or the Rowlet and then evolve into the Dartrix. Then you get more United Wings pieces into the discard pile. But I also see why you'd promote the Ditto because you already kind of have the energy. Maybe you didn't know you were going to have the Dartrix or something. But Great Ball going to come down here, getting some more pieces. Lumineon V, get that Luminous Sign rolling here, which I thought was kind of interesting that they actually went this route. Because, like I said, Rock Tomb can trap in the active, right? So I can pull up the Squawkabilly or I can pull up the Lumineon and it can't retreat, so it's just stuck there. And then I get to take 2 free prizes. So that's kind of one way I've actually won a couple games by doing that. Is like I just pull up I have 2 prizes left. I pull up my opponent's Pidgeot EX, or I pull up their Lumineon or something like that, or Rotom, and I just punch for 150, and then they can't retreat. They don't have any switch effects left, and I punch again and I win the game, right? So definitely something we could do in this match here. But like I said, we're also going to be punishing our opponent a lot if they keep taking knockouts on that Orthworm EX with that Pummeling Payback. So Lumineon V going to have that Forest Seal Stone attached, using that Forest Seal Stone to search the deck for any 1 card. So going to find themselves a potential Wattrolls, maybe what they grabbed, not too sure. Thornton going to come down here, which is pretty spicy, probably looking to swap out maybe that Lumineon V, maybe even that Squawkabilly here, to get another United Wings player in play. We're just going to have to see what they're cooking up here. So they're going to discard that Squawkabilly here. Going to get a Murkrow in play. So they have now they have a total of 5 attacking United Wings pieces in play. So the route of kind of punishing our opponent is still there, right? We're going to see that Ditto get knocked out. So they're going to take 2 prizes. They're going to go to 3. But we're also going to go to 3 prize cards. So we're at a 3-3 split here. We're in a position where I'm like, okay, we have Night Stretcher in hand. We can get our Orthworm back. Not too big of a deal. We got more Metal Makers rolling. We're going to have to see what we can do. So Night Stretcher going to come out here, grabbing ourselves that Orthworm EX out of the discard pile, benching the Orthworm, and I'm like, okay, we need to hit some energies off of these Metal Makers. But first, Heavy Baton going to come down. We're going to go Arven here, and I'm like, okay, I probably have to grab the Super Rod because I need the odds of hitting energies off of our Metal Maker to be really high. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Super Rod, put 3 energy back into the deck. I was thinking about maybe adding a 3rd Super Rod to this deck, but Metal Maker here, we're only going to hit 1 energy, unfortunately, off of that. And I'm like, okay, Metal Maker again, we hit 2 energies, which is not what we want. We had an energy in hand, but that Pummeling Payback isn't really going to do us any good because our Beldum is just kind of stuck. So it's like, do we attach to the Beldum so we can retreat, or do I just attach to the Orthworm, play the Iono X turn, and then try to find another energy? And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to attach the energy to the Earthworm. I'm going to say, okay, you don't have boss, and if you do, your Wattrol is going to get knocked out, or your Ditto, or your Murkrow will. The only thing that won't is your Dartrix. So we're just going to have to see here. They're going to put the Dark Energy to the Ditto, which makes sense because that Wattrol, 18 United Wings attack actually costs 2 colorless energy on the Wattrol, Dark Energy for the Murkrow, and then a 1 colorless energy for the Dartrix. And then the Ditto just needs to copy 1 of the United Wings attacks in the discard pile, and 9 times out of 10, it's copying either Dartrix or the Murkrow. So they're just going to use that grant here, rip through the deck, discard some more pieces. Don't want to use the research. So they're going to actually pass turn to us. And I'm like, okay, this is perfect. We now can find some more pieces. So Ultra Ball going to come down here. We're going to discard that Revavroom, and we're looking to discard the Arven as well. We don't really need it too much anymore. Going to grab potentially the Mew EX, but I'm also eyeing up that Zamazenta because it gives me a nice single prize attacker to retaliate back with if they knock out the Earthworm, because my prize mapping is going to look a little weird. We're going to take a knockout with the Orthworm on the watch roll. Orthworm might get one shot. That's going to put us to one prize card and our opponent to one prize card, and then we can retaliate with the Zamazenta. Metal Maker here after finally getting an energy, going to retreat out of that Beldum onto the Orthworm. We have the Heavy Baton, so if our Orthworm does get knocked out, we're going to be able to move the energies to our Zamazenta as well. Boss's orders, pull up the Ditto, hit for 150. Perfect. We're actually going to take another prize card here. I could have pulled up the Luminion, but I really wanted to kind of remove a lot of the pieces. I saw that my opponent was getting low on energy, and I was like, okay, if I can kind of go that route, we're fine. But our opponent gets double turbo energy, probably off the top deck, or maybe had it in hand for that watch. And I'm like, well, that's unfortunate. Now, also something that does kind of sting a little bit. We only have 4 energy attached, right? And you actually kind of see my mouse moving, and I was counting. So the Dartrix is not going to get knocked out with Pummeling Payback. We're actually going to be 10 damage counters short. We needed 5 energy on this Orthworm to take that knockout, and we don't end up getting it, which does feel a little bad. But we see the Grant coming down again, discarding more pieces, and I'm like, man, what is this card doing? Like, you're just ripping all these cards, and I kind of like end up taking a quick glance at it. Pummeling Payback, hit for 180. We take 30 less from Full Metal Lab, and then 30 more less because it's a grass-type Pokemon. So that really did save us there, kind of in that moment. But even if it didn't, we had the Retaliate option. We were probably going to be okay. Metal Maker here, we're like, all right, we're going to get some energies rolling. We're just trying to see what we can do. We're actually going to fail to find on that one. Rip the Iono here, just for some disruption. We're going to get 2 cards here. And I'm like, man, I don't even need to use another Metal Maker. I could if I really need to, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. So we're just going to Rock Tomb, take the knockout, putting us to 1 prize card. If our opponent takes the knockout on this Orthworm with a Watch Roll or a Murkrow, that's game. If they even try to get something else into play, like if they had another Dartrix, it really wouldn't matter because Pummeling Payback's going to hit, Heavy Baton's going to trigger, moving the energy to the Zamazenta, and then we're going to be able to retaliate. Not too big of a deal. We're going to actually see that here. I'm going to be able to move the energy to the Zamazenta. It's going to take a knockout. We're going to take our last prize card. But let's say, hypothetically, we had another prize card. Next turn, we just Zamazenta, KO anything with that retaliate attack, and we would have been fine. I love playing this deck. You really get to punish a lot of single prize decks with that Pummeling Payback ability, and just really being able to kind of just take extra prizes where the single prize decks really thrive in making the prize trade difficult for you, but Orthworm EX kind of fixes that. So I really appreciate the deck for that reason. So let's jump right in to that outro. All right, it's going to do it for today's video. I'm going to make sure to put the deck list that I played in today's video in the description below, ready for copy paste into TCG Live. And while you're down there, if you're enjoying the content I've been making stuff on the channel, don't forget to leave a like, smash that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. And while you're down there, of course, make sure to follow me on Twitter and join the Mega Blitz Discord. I've been making tons of changes and quality of life updates in the Discord and really trying to kind of get that community rolling in the Discord. So definitely join that, and hoping to do some more kind of events and stuff in the future. But that's going to do it all for today's video. So I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!